The NBA trade deadline has come and gone. Are the Lakers now the best team in the NBA? And what to make of the Western Conference playoff race? Hi, I'm Barry Tramel, along with NBA writer Mike Baldwin. And this is NBA and OKC. And Mike, the trade deadline has come and gone. Who are the big winners in the league?
Well, I think Orlando at least fixed the problem with Jameer Nelson. I'm one of the few Orlando fans. If Jameer Nelson doesn't get hurt, everybody's talking about Boston, Cleveland. I thought they're right there. I mean, they swept teams like the Lakers. They swept teams like the Spurs. They were playing really well. Jameer Nelson goes down. Everybody writes him off. Rafer Alston isn't near as good as Jameer Nelson, but at least it should fix part of their problems to where they'll hang around. Maybe even have still an outside chance at that 2 spot, which would get them to host Boston or Cleveland, whoever loses in that race. They'll probably end up 3, but at least plug the gap. And then Chicago, they redid their roster, helped on the salary cap some, and should make a push for the playoffs. That's my team to get in the 8-hole. Those are the 2 teams I think benefited the most. The most disappointing, without question, Portland, Rafe LaFrentz, an expiring $16 million contract. There was rumors of, all kinds of players going out there, from Vince Carter to, one of the Bucks stars to, you just name it. Somebody was going to go to Portland. They're still playing good basketball. They're one of the best home records in the league. But the fact they didn't get rid of Rafe LaFrentz, who everybody wanted that expiring contract, that most of it was covered by insurance, I thought they were a big loser. There's a few other ones. I mean, even some people saying the Thunder benefited by getting a key piece with a late round pick. There were a bunch of other teams like that that had one little small thing. But Boston, Cleveland were rumored to make moves, did not do it. Both their benches are a little suspect as far as trying to win the whole thing. The only disappointment for me is for all the talk, Stoudemire, even Shaq the last day was going to go to Cleveland maybe, or Dallas or somewhere. Vince Carter was going to end up in 2 or 3 different places. For all that talk, all the coaches and veterans told us, Presti, everybody, there's talk every time this year, but let's see how many actually get done. Well, last year there was a lot got done, so everybody assumed it was going to happen again. It didn't happen again. A lot of minor players, not a lot of stars.
Well, let me play devil's advocate here. You're right, Portland is still stuck with that expiring contract of Rafe LaFrentz. But maybe Portland doesn't mind having it. Maybe Portland's ready to use that cap space to go after a team. Same with Oklahoma City.
Oh, no question.
And here's the deal. The difference is the Thunder, compared to the Trailblazers have a lot more to offer in terms of an attractive free agent.
Oh, I agree to a large extent. I wrote last Sunday that there's a lot better free agents on this market this summer than people realize. Everybody's pointing to Dwayne Wade and Kobe and LeBron in 2010. But, you guys got Millsap, David Lee, I just absolutely love, and everybody in New York says the Knicks will not be able to afford to keep him and clear cap space for their run at LeBron. David Lee right now is only tied with Dwight Howard for most double-doubles this season, like 43. He's one of those players you haven't heard about. Paul Millsap's done a fabulous job since Boozer's been out. You've got guys like Marcus Aldridge. Portland will probably re-sign him. But if they don't, he could be out up there on the market. You have Lamar Odom. The Lakers are in town. I talked to their beat writers, and they said, no doubt about it, Ariza, who's not as good a player as Odom, but because of salary cap issues, they may have to let Lamar Odom go. Then you get into the veterans, whether it's a Jason Kidd, it's a Mike Bibby, it's Steve Nash. You go down the list, those guys are going to command attention for people that want to make a playoff push. So I think teams like Portland and Oklahoma City that want to build with young players, there's going to be players out there. Veteran teams that want to make a run at the title, I think there's going to be players out there. I think it's going to be a fun summer, and the one thing we learned from the trade deadline is everybody's trying to shed cap space. Everybody's trying to get lower. I think there's going to be some bargains out there. Whoever does the best job of that will either speed up the rebuilding process or speed up their chance at an NBA title.
Well, let's look at a certain team that has risen to the top of the NBA. They're in town this week. The Los Angeles Lakers have commandeered the #1 spot in the NBA standings. Is Los Angeles the best team in the league?
Oh, they're playing the best right now, without question. Losing Bynum once again, if he does not come back for the playoffs, which most people think he will not. There's an outside chance, but we heard the same thing last year, and he did not. There's no doubt that hampers them a little bit. But last year when they added Gasol in the middle of the season, even Phil Jackson's been talking about while they're in town, it took them a little bit of a while to adjust to all that. I'm surprised that a lot of the national analysts are saying, I don't read too much in them sweeping the Celtics. I read a lot into it. It was 2 high-profile games. Both in L.A. on Christmas Day when the Celtics at the time, remember, were going to win 70 games. They're on this great pace, best start in NBA history, all that. Well, guess what? It started the Celtics on a slide. They had the rematch just a couple of weeks ago in Boston. One of those back-and-forth games could have gone either way. The Lakers found a way to get out a win. 1, they'll own the tiebreaker if they end up with the same amount of wins for home court advantage. 2, I think it does put them ahead to where they get home court advantage. If the Lakers end up with home court advantage, the irony to the West being so good, so tough to get in the playoffs, the subject we're going to hit next is the East has all those 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 even teams with below 500s make it. I think the East is tougher in the semifinals and the finals this year than the West. Right now, the way the West is going, I think San Antonio is the only team that stacks up with LA. Last year, you had the Hornets. Utah was playing well last year. This year, the only team playing well outside the Lakers is the Spurs. So you can wait till the Western Conference Finals. I think the Eastern Conference semis could be a knockdown drag-out for whoever's in those. So I think the Lakers are the team to beat. One, they'll have the best record, and two, I don't think it'll be quite as tough a playoff road as it will be in the East with Boston, Cleveland, Orlando, and some of those teams.
Well, speaking of the Western Conference, it's been a 9-team race for 8 spots all year, but the team on the outside has always been Phoenix. Talk about the Phoenix blowing up the roster, trading Stoudemire, starting over. But lo and behold, the Suns have started playing Suns basketball again. They've gotten hot. They're winning games. They're nipping at the heels of the Utah Jazz and the New Orleans Hornets. Who's going to be the odd team out in the West?
I think I've switched my opinion on this like 4 times over the last 4 or 5 weeks. For the longest time, I thought it may be Dallas, and I still think Dallas might slip out of there. They're the team that they just don't have the right mix right now. They cannot beat good teams. I think they're like 1-7 against the elite teams this year, which shows you they got crack in their armor. Utah had all the injuries, but they're slowly but surely getting healthy, and they've got a chance to fall out of it. But I sort of like their chances of hanging on. I like Deron Williams and Millsap, and if Boozer comes back, it's a bonus. Carol Lincoln, just go down the line. I like their team, but they could fall out. Then, of course, the Suns is the team I would pick right now. Losing Stoudemire, I think, really hurt them. The way they were playing, but after not trading Stoudemire, playing faster, I thought all of a sudden, who is going to be the team in the musical chairs game left out? I thought it wouldn't be them. I'm starting to think it's them. And then, I mean, some people have even said the Portlands that have a 2 or 3 or 4 game lead on them, the young kids, once they get a tougher schedule, they're like, I want to say 24-4 at home. They're relying on their home record a lot. They're not doing as well on the road. The other teams are faring a little better on the road. Sometimes that's the deciding factor the last month is who can go win a couple tough road games. I think Portland will still be in good shape to get the 5-6 spot, but they could slide all the way down. Without question, that's going to be the best drama in the NBA the last 6 weeks of the season is which one of those 9 teams doesn't make it. I think any of 4 of those 5, any of them might be the team that drops out. I gave you the reasons why. Who do you think right now would be the one out?
The team that needs to worry is the Hornets. The Hornets have slipped below 600 winning percentage. They had a little bit of upheaval with Tyson Chandler going and now coming back. This is a franchise that desperately has a window of opportunity here. Was great last season, not quite as good this year.
They need Tyson Chandler back. If they do, I think they're definitely in. If he continues to have ankle and / toe problems, I think they could slip back in that mix. That's why it's going to be fun. It was similar to this last year. Remember, Golden State, people forget, won 48 games and did not get in. I don't think it's going to take that many this year. I think about 8 to 10 games above 500, which will put you around the 44-45 win mark. That's going to be the team left out, about 44-45 wins. But I think there's going to be 3 or 4 or 5 teams between 44 and 48. So I don't think this is going to be resolved till the very end. And there could be 3 or 4 teams sweating it out the last week of the season.
Well, it's going to be interesting. The always crowded Western Conference playoff race. That's going to do it for NBA and OKC. Stay tuned for complete NBA and Thunder coverage on News OK and in the Oklahoman. For Mike Baldwin, Barry Tramel, we'll talk to you later.